there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. I'm Bushka Blitz. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at the WZ112-2, the new Chinese heavy. Now, I mean, it should be no surprise to you guys that this isn't a tank that I'm a great fan of, and it's not that I think it's a terrible tank. I think it's very vanilla. That is the big issue for me. If you saw my recent top 10 tanks of all time list, you would know that there weren't many of them that didn't have an exceptionally good gun for their tier or class. And indeed, some of them had the best guns in the game. Guns like the E50Ms, the FV4202s, the T62As, the Centurion 701s. These are marksmans, the Object 263. They've all got this characteristic, which is outstanding guns. And a lot of the time, they have outstanding gun depression. This is a tank that doesn't have either of those things. And not only that, it's a tank that exists within the game to a greater or lesser degree in many shapes and forms. If you've driven a Glacial, then you've driven, in essence, this tank. There are some marked differences, but they aren't immediately apparent. Now, the 112, though, I had people ask me on stream the other day, is it worth getting then? And, I mean, if you're going to buy $5 worth of crates and get some gear out of it, and maybe you'll get a 112, maybe you won't, that's a very, very low risk move. Like, if you're going to waste a lot of money on it, then no, I don't think it's worth it. But it's kind of like the whole IS-5 thing. If you can get that for 1,500 gold, well, you should get it for 1,500 gold, because even though I don't love those kind of tanks, there's still tanks that are well and truly worth that kind of bang for buck. The problem I have is just it is not my kind of tank. So I almost feel predisposed to make sure that you understand that this is just not my kind of tank. If I was going to get any of these tanks, it would be the IS-3. Like, IS-6s, Glacials, IS-5s, IS-3 Defenders, WZ113s. I mean, they're all so similar. They've all got the same guns. They all have very similar characteristics. I'm going to show you... One thing I will mention is I think this tank does look exquisite. I really love... It's one of the few attachments. You can see the cow catcher on the back of the turret there. This is the armor profile of the tank when shot at by a Chrysler K with its AP, which isn't particularly good. And you can see it's got lots of big fat sections of armor. The upper glacis isn't as good as a Glacial's, get that out of the way, but it has this lovely spaced armor like an IS-3's on the side above the tracks, and then you've got 100mm of flat armor inside it and 85mm of angled armor. And it's a very Russian knockoff style of armor profile. You'll see this all the way through on tanks like the IS-8, the IS-7, the IS-3, and it's effective and it works. And it's a big, brawly heavy. It's a knife fighter. You don't want its like nearly 0.4 dispersion. You are not, at a big aim time, you are not sending this tank to the back of the map and sniping with it. You want to be side scraping with it. It's actually pretty good at side scraping. You can see there's more auto bounce zones than actual armor thickness, but still, it works. I guess the real issue is that I don't think that I'm the right guy to drive this tank to give you anything other than a very blasé vanilla style review on it, because I found it frustrating. I don't drive IS-7s, even though I know the IS-7 is a good tank. I will drive an IS-4 because I really don't like having a gun that is just that bloody there. Makes me want to bite through my iPad. And this is the style of tank you get in IS-5s and Glacials, and this is what you're getting. Of all the tanks, I would just pick the IS-3 and run it, because that for me is far and away a more effective vehicle. The BL9 is a great gun. 225mm of AP pen on that, and that'll work for you. And look, this tank will work. And if you're looking for a tier 8 premium heavy to grind some cash, and you pick it up for a crate, where there was a 2-for-1 crate deal on, then it's very hard to be upset You can use it in clan wars. You can use it in grinding credits. You can do all those kind of things. But I played so many games grinding credits in the IS-6 when the IS-6 was the big dog of tier 8 heavy tanks. And I really never loved doing it. Certainly feel nostalgic about it. And I feel like it was a fun time to be alive because I was playing it with my mates. But look, if this tank didn't look so pretty, I 100% would not play the bloody thing. And the gun's dispersion levels are such that it really becomes frustrating. Now, I should point out it feels fairly nippy. Like it is more agile than a glacial. It is definitely not as strong on the upper glacis as a glacial, but it does feel more agile than a glacial, which is important when you're driving a heavy tank. You've got to have an edge somewhere. Because look at the size of that thing. Like the VK100A1P, it's got plenty of edges, and they've all got 300 millimeters of armor. I mean, this is something else that I found was interesting with the tank was I got hit on the upper deck quite a few times by tanks, and they pen. Like there was a Tiger one before you might have seen on Falls Creek that penned my upper deck. There was an IS-2SH that penned my upper deck and set me on fire. I don't know if that is a normal thing for these Chinese heavy knockoffs of IS-3s, because to be fair, I just wouldn't drive them. Like, if I was driving a tier 8 heavy, I'd drive something with a little bit of pizzazz, like a Carnarvon or a, you know, or if I was going to go super heavy, I'd go VK100A1P every day of the week. Just to give you an example of that mobility, I'm going to push the left-hand side and act kind of as a pseudo spotter. I'm side-scoping off that furthest building that you can see there. And look, I'm in the gun. If you're not fully aimed in, forget about it. And then everyone's going to turn up here. So I'm actually going to hightail it out of there. And you'll see, for a glacial-style tank, it actually gets a decent pickup. I mean, I switched to heat straight away. Really impressed that went in. Just super impressed that went in. And then we're off. We're off to the races. And we actually make a very, very solid move here. Spotting all those tanks and then just immediately falling back and causing all kinds of issues. There's the IS-3 with the same kind of gun handling that I just had with the WZ. Just derping one into the dirt. Here comes that T-49. Now, you do have enough armor that tanks like the T-49 are not just going to be able to roll up and have, you know, a day at the races with you. You really are a much tougher tank to pen than that. And you are very low to the ground too in your profile. So if you want to slip down into a hollow like this, for instance, you certainly can. And I'm going to reverse sidescope a bit. Just set up my little reverse side scrape until I get the reload going. And then I can bounce it off the side. Yeah, VK100A1Ps. And that's that lovely spaced armor and angled side armor. You got a lot of side armor. Hey, it is actually pretty good at that. If you can side scope, you're going to be all right. Strong turret, 6 degrees of gun depression. Won't win you any prizes, but you know, it's a reasonable facsimile of a super heavy that can be effective at tier 8 in all kinds of situations. Just not my jam, baby. Doesn't mean it won't work. Doesn't mean it's not a good thing. Just not for Uncle Bushka. You can hang on to that one. That's all right. Look after yourselves, guys. Full credit to Wargaming on this one too. I think they've made it pretty clear that it is not an advanced player's tank. You can certainly use it, and it's more a fire and forget, much like the IS-6. You know, a tank like the IS-6, which is all about armor that works just when you drive it out of the garage. That's kind of what the WZ112 is. It's a little bit of a glacial, it's a little bit of an IS-5, and it's got that gun. Until next time, look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.